Oh no! There's Melanie. That's a shame, she was really nice.
Yep, you guessed it, we're back with more fat acceptance TikTok cringe. Today's topic is something that we've always known, and that's that the fat acceptance community does not want you to lose weight. Hi, I'm Lisa, and welcome back to my Fat React series, where we are going to be reacting to different aspects of health culture. This includes the fat acceptance community, the fitness community, as well as health and beauty trends. I cannot believe I got that all out. I always mess up like 10 times, and then I have to edit it together. Today I got it. Anyways, now if you were to be gaslit by the fat acceptance community, it would probably look something like this. They would tell you to not even try to lose weight because all diets, including ones that involve calorie restriction, are EDs, and that fat doesn't equate to unhealthy. The truth of the matter is, as we learned in one of my previous videos, the fat acceptance community has an issue with projection. Because they are struggling to lose weight, it must be impossible for everyone to lose weight. In fact, if you want to try and lose weight, you might just be dealing with some internalized fat phobia. Yikes. Now, let's be fair to them for a second. I'm not like a losing weight absolutist, and let me explain what I mean by that. It may or may not be their fault that they're overweight. I don't know what kind of medical advice they've been receiving all this time. Sometimes I hear people in my comments and they're like, I've talked to a medical nutritionist and I heard blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, I've talked to medical nutritionists and they've told me like a million different things that contradict each other. The funniest one I ever had was the woman told me I wasn't eating enough rice. And if I just ate more rice, I would lose weight. This was at a hospital. It was a highly renowned hospital. And this person was the professional on staff to help me lose weight. She was a doctor and a nutritionist. So like, just saying, take things with a grain of salt. Even from me, I'm not an expert at everything or even anything. Well, a couple things, but not on this channel. But I am talking from a place of experience. If I am an expert at one thing, it's, geez, I'm really good at being overweight. And I hope to be really good at losing it. But because I am overweight, I feel like the people I get the most advice from are people who have never actually had to lose like more than 100 pounds. It's always people who have never had to lose that much. And they think that they can like equate their lifestyle to yours when like really your body's not functioning correctly. And I don't think their bodies are functioning correctly either, but it is your responsibility. This is where personal responsibility comes in, to figure out how to get your body to function correctly so that you can be healthy. And that's what my health journey is about. That's how I ended up on the diet that I am on right now, which is pro-thyroid, pro-hormone, anti-inflammatory, because those are the things that I struggle with. And I think a lot of people struggle with it too, but there are really no diets out there that address those things other than the one that I'm on. So yeah, tangent, but I just wanted to like share my side of that. Essentially they've given up, right? So instead of, saying, oh, I'm struggling to do this, it's like nobody can do it and I have to stop everyone from doing it. Now, like I said, there is some gaslighting involved in this because if you talk to the average FA person, FA meaning fat acceptance person, they would tell you, wait, it's not about you. I just don't want you to tell me to lose weight. But then why do we have videos like this?
Oh no! There's Melanie. That's a shame, she was really nice.
I mean, that's weird, right? I mean, it's on one hand, it is kind of funny. I think she does a really good job, like lip syncing to that audio track. And it's just kind of ridiculous that she's reacting like when one of your favorite fat creators starts posting about their weight loss journey. It's like does the fact that she's trying to lose weight offend you that much? It feels a little out there to me because it sounds like you're not allowed to lose weight either, right? If she can't lose weight, you can't lose weight either. So let's check out the next one. She sort of has a different perspective, but I'm still kind of trying to figure out what that is because she kind of bounces back and forth and it gets a little confusing.
What do we do when our fat faves lose weight? Let's talk about it. I don't have all the answers, but what I can tell you is I hate watching the same toxic patterns happening over and over online. And I will start with this so then people don't get mad. And this can be a really tough pill to swallow, but no one owes you their body.
Okay, she's talking to thin people here and saying nobody owes you their body. Hold on to that piece of information for a little bit and wait till she gets like further on down.
And it's never appropriate under any circumstance to share with someone negative thoughts or feelings about how their body looks or has changed.
Once again, hold on to that information.
But here's the toxic pattern. Fat persona loses weight. fat fan expresses some hurt or disappointment. And then thin fans take that as their opportunity to go in and be like, you body positive police, mind your business. They look amazing. They're just doing this for their health, and just throw in a bunch of other like anti-fat, fat-phobic sentiments just for good measure.
I mean, the only really offensive thing that I heard in there is when she said F you, which I probably will have deleted out. So she did say that. Everything else is like, that's realistic. It's like she was looking after her weight. And it's funny that they always say she, because it's like, you don't hear the same stuff about men. Like, I don't think they care about larger men as much. And they will say people don't care about larger men as much. Goes both ways. They don't either. Like, but yeah, I don't think any of that stuff in there was actually like really offensive. It's just maybe they just, it felt offensive to them because it's something that they care about.
And then the persona will often encourage this type of discourse. If you are not fat and have never been fat, here's the context that you're missing. Imagine every piece of media that you engage with, every movie, TV show, song, all of it tells you you're bad and wrong. And then you find one little corner of the world that says, you know what? No, you can be loved and successful and funny and talented and adored just as you are.
No, I think what's interesting about that is that you'll have people like Adele, where she never made her size like a part of her talent or anything like that, right? It was just like she was overweight and she was talented. Now you have people like Lizzo. I think that the reason why people pick on Lizzo a lot is because she does talk about her weight a lot. And I mean, I really just don't care. I don't get the Lizzo hate. I mean, I get it. People think that she's encouraging being larger, whereas I feel like she's just like kind of embracing her larger body. There are inherent problems with that, but like you don't have to listen to her. I always say to the fat acceptance community, you don't have to listen to them. Like same thing with everyone else. You don't have to listen to Lizzo. You don't have to do it. But other than that, she's like the only person that I've actually heard talk about it. Like I know when Adele lost weight, she talked about how she lost weight due to her anxiety. Being on stage, exercising helped her feel less anxious, which makes sense. If you're getting all those endorphins from working out, it's probably going to help you with her anxiety somewhat. And I'm glad she was able to find that help. And good for her if it resulted in weight loss. But I don't necessarily think that means that she was like encouraging, that behavior, so to speak, whatever behavior she's referring to.
And then that window slams shut and tells you the same things that the rest of the world has told you. It's not about that person. It's about fat people when the world has ostracized them, making an individual their safe space.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying, referring back to the beginning of the video, when trying to say nobody owes you your body, and then you say here you made that individual your safe space. Well, you're essentially saying that that person owed you their body because they were your comfort, you looked up to them, and now that they've lost weight, it makes you feel a little bit more hopeless, but it's their body, right? And the same way that you don't owe anyone your body to lose weight, well, she doesn't owe you her body to not lose weight, right? Yeah, so kind of back and forth here. Let's see if she brings that back around and fixes it, because I'm still a little confused about the conclusion of this.
And maybe diet talk is really normal in your circle and the people you hang out with, but other people have had to do a lot of work to eliminate diet talk and diet culture from their community. Diet and weight loss talk is sensitive for good reason. 1 in 4 or 5 people end up with an eating disorder. Most people, I think 90 to 98% of people will gain all the weight back and then some. And that diet cycling can result in worse health outcomes than just staying fat in the first place.
So I've been thinking a lot about the whole eating disorder aspect because 2 of my really close friends have eating disorders, and it's on opposite sides of the spectrum. And that means one is binge eating and one is, imagine the other opposite side of that. And I will say to them sometimes, let me know if you don't want to talk about this because I don't want to trigger any feelings. And everyone's at a different stage on their journey to recovery, right? But I think it's the responsibility of the person going through that illness to put up boundaries, right? And it's your responsibility of a friend to then respect the boundaries. But you can't assume that everybody has the same boundary until you're told, right? So if someone's like, oh, I really can't talk about this right now, I mean, you respect it, right? On like various different things. The thing I have the issue with the fat acceptance community here is that they act like you know, they need to live in a bubble all the time. Unfortunately, it's not a bubble. You're going to have to remove yourself from situations. I have to remove myself from situations, things that make me uncomfortable a lot. And it's hard, but I have to do it. And I'm not going to talk about what those things are because, like I said, that's my boundary, and I'm not going to enforce it on you. I just wanted to put that out there. I definitely feel very sorry and compassionate towards people who have these EDs and other illnesses that might affect them. My channel is about personal responsibility. It's your responsibility to remove yourself from the environment. And that goes towards my friends too. If you're a friend of mine and you have an ED and you can't handle these videos, please don't watch. It's okay. I won't be offended. Just putting it out there.
Also, if you have an eating disorder and you're fat, trying to get any treatment for that is hell. And when that one safe space is no longer safe, it can activate a lot of pain and trauma. Again, if you are fat and you're feeling that pain, it's not appropriate to share with that person. If you're feeling this way, I really hope you talk to people, a therapist.
I'm gonna read this. It's always okay to unfollow or block people who share diet content. You don't have to announce that unfollow, just do what's right for you. Yeah, that one I will agree with. Like I said, just remove yourself from the situation. It's fine. So at least she has that one there. Agree with you there. Good job.
Or friends, supportive people in your life to process these feelings because it's valid and it's important. And rather than these intense binaries, I would love to see these conversations held with more nuance and compassion. You know, I can understand why this topic might be triggering for some people, and I hope you get support for that elsewhere, but this is my body and I can't hold that pain for you is valid. If you're a thin ally, this is a great opportunity to fight the assumption that thin equals health, and remember that there's maybe more going on than you can understand.
Yeah, thin does not equal health, but that doesn't then mean that fat equals health, or fat does not equal unhealthy, right? So that was a weird way to end it, I think. I don't think it had anything to do with what was going on in the rest of her video. And she, like I said, she contradicted herself. She said, we don't owe you your bodies, but people like Adele, I'm using her as an example because I know that was like a big one, she owes us her bodies and we're sad about it. And she was saying, I didn't say that, but I'm like, well, you basically did. You basically said that. So now I want to move on to some of our more well-known fat acceptance advocates and see how they kind of tackle this issue. And by that, I mean, they're a little bit more clever about it. They're not going to come right out and say some of these things. Like, I feel like the first two, they're pretty, like, apparent. But you don't get this popular on the internet without being a little more subtle in your messaging. So, okay, we're going on to the next one, and we're back to Hannah Talks Bodies. Yes. I don't know. People always cannot decide in my comments who they like, less. Jock Scientist or Hannah Talks Bodies. I mean, I'm not here to make that decision, but like, I gotta say, I don't like some of the things that they say, so.
There is not a single research study in existence that shows that lifelong weight loss is possible for even more than a tiny fraction of people. Let's get into it.
Okay. Watch her face during these videos. This is what I've always said about Hannah Talks Bodies. She looks happy when she says these things. Like, she's like, oh, I gotcha. You can't ever lose weight. And she just looks happy in her eyes when she's saying these things.
The largest and longest diet study in history had more than 20,000 participants and lasted 8 years. The study found that participants lost weight in the short term, which is typical of diet studies. But after 8 years, when the study concluded, they found out that the weight of the participants had changed virtually not at all from the starting point, despite having dieted that entire time, and their waist circumference had increased.
What was the diet? Where was the part where she goes over the methods of this research study? I don't know what the methods are. What even is this research study? I hope she links it in her comments because I want to look it up later. But it's like one of those things where, was it just cutting calories? Were they changing what they were eating? Were they implementing exercise? Did they address other things like EDs and hormonal issues? Like, how did they match these people up? What was the blind? What was the blind versus the people who actually participated in the diet? I don't know any of these things. So if we're talking about a long-term weight loss study, these are things we actually have to look into. And maybe this is just things that I know because I went to grad school, But I feel like sometimes they just put like a research article in the background and it's like, oh, science, and therefore it's convincing. I need more convincing because you haven't actually gotten over what they did in the research study. Let's continue.
Studies across the board show that 95% of people who pursue weight loss will gain back all the weight they lost within 5 years of their diet beginning.
Okay, once again, what are they eating? What other steps are they taking to lose weight? Are they saying they're going on a diet, or are they not actually going on a diet? You know what I mean? Is it a fad diet? Is it I'm going to eliminate protein from my diet? Am I going to eliminate fat? Am I going to eliminate carbs? Like, are they not looking at calories at all? Are they addressing the other illnesses? I can say this over and over and over again.
And that's regardless of whether or not they continue their behaviors. And 2/3 of those people will gain back more weight than they lost. This is another study saying the same thing. Here's another study saying the same thing. And
her face, once again, she's like, here's another study saying the same thing. It's like, she's gleeful. And it's just so weird. Why are you so happy about this? Is it the being proven right thing in your mind? Like, I don't think you're right at all, but you feel like you're right. Or are you just happy that you don't think other people can lose weight and you don't want them to lose weight because that's what it feels like? I feel like I'm being really mean here. I'm being really aggressive, but it is really frustrating to listen to this. I'm sure it's frustrating for you too.
the weight loss that is experienced by that tiny percentage for the long term is like 5 or 10 pounds. I could drop 5 pounds right now with a loofah and a haircut.
What are you loofing off yourself to lose 5 pounds? You must have a lot of dead skin on you. And I also like, what was the starting point too for these diets? Were they obese? Were they morbidly obese? Were they just overweight and was losing 5 to 10 pounds all they needed to lose? Because let's say you're a 5'2" woman and you're 10 pounds overweight. That's like a significant amount of weight to be overweight. That puts you up like almost an entire BMI category versus like a 5'10" woman, 10 pounds overweight. You probably hardly even notice it on her. Like I lost 40 pounds, right? Almost 45. And like that's kind of a lot. Not a lot for me. I still have to lose a lot more. But if I had like some of my friends lost 40 pounds, they would have to go to the hospital because they would be like horrifically underweight. But these are things that people actually have to think about when you've actually had to write research papers and read research studies for your job and for school. So, and if she did for her schooling, I really have to question like what she was taught and who taught her. Anyways, you have the last video, and this one I've been really dying to address because, oof, I got some things on this. Okay, so yeah, I cut out the sound for that, just so you know. Let's continue.
Is this an opportunity to talk about the obesity paradox? And yes, it is cold enough for me. The obesity paradox is the fun way the science and medical community maintain their bias against fat people. See, because instead of going back and being like, maybe weight isn't as impactful on people's health as we stated, they just call it a paradox. It's too confusing. This paradox states is actually a lot of people who carry extra weight on them fare better during medical emergencies. Like you're more likely to survive a severe heart attack, cancer, illness, injury. Carrying extra energy stores on your body helps you during recovery.
Having extra energy stores on you actually does help you in recovery. But how much of that helps you? How much do you actually need? So let's say you're overweight, right? Let's say you're even obese. You're at a BMI of 30. You fall into that category. You're likely going to do better than somebody who is significantly underweight. You might even do better than somebody who's of an average weight because you have more of you to recover. But would you, at say a BMI of 50, do better than somebody who is of average weight? Obesity is quite a large range. I don't think you can make the comparison. And listen to the words she's saying. She didn't say people who are obese recover better. She said people who carry more weight on them. Well, then what is that weight? Is that just slightly overweight? There's a trick. That's where we get it. That's where the words change up, right? Well, let's continue.
And instead of using this opportunity to stop stigmatizing larger bodies in medical fields, they just said, it's a paradox. We're confused. You can Google it if you don't believe me. This is highly researched. And just more proof that BMI is trash.
Highly researched. Yes, let's talk about how it's highly researched. Now, anybody who actually has looked into these studies that say that, and we're talking about what study did the obesity paradox actually come from? It came from a study that talked about heart disease and about how obese people actually live longer with heart disease. But why is that? Let's think about this. People with obesity live longer with heart disease because they get it at a younger age. So if you are 35 years old, and I'm just ballparking here, I'm not saying you're gonna get heart disease as an obese person at 35 years old, just use it as an example. Let's say you get it at 35. You might live till 65. That's 30 years with heart disease. You've lived longer with heart disease than the average person. Now let's say a thin person or a person of average weight gets heart disease at 55. And they then live until 70 years old. That's 15 years of heart disease. Well, that thin and average weight person, they only were able to live with heart disease for 15 years versus the person who lived with it for 30 years. Therefore, a person with heart disease who is obese lived for a longer time with that. Anybody who looked at that understood it wasn't technically a paradox. It was just looking at the numbers of how many years live with disease and then applying it without looking at the context. But she's saying, yeah, there's a lot of research on this. Yeah, there has been more research that then shows that it's debunked. But not like that research needed to be done in the first place, right? I mean, that study basically laid it out for you if you just looked at the fine print. But yeah, there's lots of research on this, as I said, and it doesn't mean what it actually means. None means what she says, okay? I don't know if she's just ignorant or lying or where she gets her information. You do not live longer if you're obese. Okay? All you have to do is actually look at actual statistics and go to I don't know, I say this all the time. My grandmother's in an old folks home. She lives in assisted living. I go there. Nobody there is obese. That's basically all the proof that you need. I'm not sure, one anecdotal experience. I worked in skilled nursing facilities. People who don't do so well are the ones who are more overweight. Anyways, yeah, like I said, this is a pretty aggressive video. People are gonna be like, oh, Lucy, you've gotten so mean. Which, by the way, 2023 is the year of mean, so maybe it's just finally coming out of me. Took a few videos. And if you say I'm not mean, then maybe I'm never going to be. This is probably the worst that it gets. But yeah, so as in conclusion, as you can see here, I'm not convinced that Fat Acceptance TikTok wants you to lose weight. In fact, I think they are actively discouraging it, and they are misconstruing evidence and misconstruing scientific studies to convince you of that and trying to be an authority when they are not. Anyways, to all people out there who are trying to get healthier, whether you're to lose weight, gain weight, or just eat healthier, good luck to you. Don't let anyone discourage you. This journey, so to speak, is going to be highly individualized to each person. So you'll hear me talk a lot about generalizations on this channel, and people get really offended by generalizations. It might not apply to you. It's going to apply to my way of thinking. So yeah, just, take it or leave it. And I hope you come back for more content later, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Anyways, I hope to see you later and around, and comment down below and like and subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye.